Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
So in this explainer, we're diving into Frantz Fanon's powerful work, The Wretched of the Earth. We're going to look at how colonialism works as a complete system. One that shapes everything from your identity to the economy. And we're going to tackle a really tough question. Why doesn't getting independence automatically fix everything?
To really get Fanon, you have to remember who he was. He wasn't just a revolutionary writer, he was a psychiatrist. And as he was writing during this massive wave of decolonization, he was essentially putting a whole political system on the couch, diagnosing it and its deep psychological wounds on everyone living within it. Fanon saw colonialism as this relentless, grinding psychological pressure. I think this quote about his work just captures it perfectly. It forces you into this constant state of high alert, of hyper-awareness. You always have to have your defenses up. See, this isn't just about laws or money. It's a hierarchy that gets deep inside your head, into the very fabric of society.
And that leads us right into Fanon's most famous observation, the way the colonial world is just split, completely and totally. He called it Manichaean, which is a fancy way of saying it's a world of pure good versus pure evil, light versus dark. There's absolutely no gray area.
He called this a compartmentalized world. It's literally cut in two. And the logic here is one of mutual exclusion. One zone doesn't just exist next to the other, it exists because the other is held down. They are fundamentally opposites, and in his view, there's just no way to reconcile them.
And wow, his descriptions of this split are just so vivid. The colonists' town is all stone and steel, built to last. It's clean, lit, well-fed. And the colonized sector, it's the complete opposite. A place with no space, where people are piled on top of each other. A hungry world where you can die anywhere from anything. And the line between them isn't imaginary. It's enforced by soldiers and police.
Now, here's the crucial part. For Fanon, this isn't just about economics. That comes later. It's based first and foremost on race, on what he calls species. In the colonial world, your economic reality is the social structure. The logic is a perfect, brutal circle. You are rich because you are white, and you are white because you are rich. One justifies the other, endlessly.
Okay, so if that's the world Fanon is describing, how does a system like this actually keep going? To get that, we need to look past the surface at its hidden architecture, what we're going to call the colonial blueprint.
The best way to understand Fanon's core idea is with a metaphor. So think of colonialism like a blueprint that's literally built into the walls of a house. Now, you can change who lives in the house, the occupants, but if you don't redesign the blueprint itself, guess what? The load-bearing walls, the foundation, the whole structure, it all stays exactly the same.
So, what are the rules of this blueprint? Well, it all starts with two main incentives. Number one, get wealth out of the colony. Number two, preserve the colonizer's superior status. And when you build a system around those goals, the results are depressingly predictable. You're going to get systemic violence to keep control, an internalized hierarchy where people start believing they're inferior, and of course, any real path to move up in society is completely blocked.
And this brings us to what is maybe the most important question in all of Fanon's work. Why does this blueprint, this structure, so often survive long after the original colonizers have packed up and left?
Well, Fanon points to this really tragic cycle. First, a country gets its formal independence. Awesome. But then a new local elite, what he calls the national bourgeoisie, takes power. The problem is, this new group usually doesn't have the money or the power to tear down the old house and build a totally new one. So what do? They just move in. It's way easier and frankly more profitable to become the new managers of the old system, using the same economic pipes the colonizers set up.
And Fanon is absolutely scathing about this. He says this new class finds its mission isn't to actually transform the nation, but just to be an intermediary, to be a conveyor belt, making sure the country's resources keep flowing out to the global powers. The faces at the top have changed, but the blueprint is still running the show.
And all of this leads us to the final and most crucial idea. Understanding how this system persists helps us spot a huge mistake in how we often analyze the world, a mistake Fanon's work was all about correcting.
See, when colonialism is treated as a past event, like some chapter in a history book that's over, instead of an ongoing structural design, that's when we experience a crisis in perception. We end up isolating all the symptoms while completely ignoring the incentive architecture, the blueprint that's causing them. We're staring at the new tenants, wondering why the walls are crumbling without ever checking the foundation.
And this crisis in perception makes us look at massive issues like poverty or political instability or violence and see them as all separate, isolated problems. But Fanon is shouting from the rooftops that they're not. They are the interconnected, predictable outcomes of a system designed for extraction and division, a system that is still very much in operation long after its original architects are gone.
So Fanon's work really leads us with this powerful question, one that's just as relevant today as it was then. When we look at all the inequality and conflict in the world, are we still mistaking the occupants for the blueprint?
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.